In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make a one-color homemade silkscreen press out of wood and some other stuff, which really cuts down on the cost. So for wood, you're going to need about 2.5 full-length 2x4s. You might as well get 3 just to play it safe, and then a little bit of a 1x4, which is this thinner one over here. You only need a little bit of that, so if you have some scrap laying around, that's fine. And then as well some 2x2, which is just a squared off piece, which is you only need a little bit of this, so if you have scrap as well, just use that. You need like maybe 15 inches of that, but you do need a lot more plywood, as you can see, so definitely have a little bit extra lying around in case you need Alright, so for the hardware, you're going to really need some straightforward things. The screws that you'll need are just whatever you can find that will go through the 2x4s that you use for pretty much the basis of the press, but a hinge, I bought a 4-inch hinge, which seemed right because I was using 2x4s, but actually only buy a 3-inch hinge as it does hang over on this side a little bit. Not that big of a deal in my mind, but it wasn't worth returning. But also use some Gorilla Glue on the pieces I didn't want to directly drill through. They're strong. I don't see a big reasoning for why you'd have to go through the hassle of drilling those, but also 4 eye hooks to attach your spring and so it can retract. This spring is not strong enough once there is a screen on top. I mean, it's barely strong enough as is, but you know, once there's a screen on there, it's not strong enough. So I'd suggest probably about a 2 to 3 inch spring. I bought some that are way too large, and then you can use a turnbuckle. I'd also suggest having one hook a little bit open to make it accessible to take it on and off a bit easier. I just opened up my eye hooks a little bit, so that works for me. As far as this plate up front, it is just some aluminum flashing. It was like $1. It's really cheap. Just cut right through it. It doesn't have to be too heavy duty, although it is a little flimsy, but with the C-clamps right under it, it doesn't really make to be too weak once the screen's on there, and I've tested it a few times. Yeah, so these C-clamps are, I think, 3-inch C-clamps. That fits my screen. You definitely want to make sure you're getting the size that you need for your screen. My screen's pretty thick, so I don't see you needing much bigger than this. And I had to drill through the side of it to attach it to these little blocks to just as a FYI, in that the initial design that I kind of based this off of had these angled, but I really didn't find that necessary, so you might not have to go through that hassle as well. Just make sure that you kind of think through it first off. And yeah, this back to the hinge is that it's a pretty cheap hinge, so these blocks help to kind of guide it into a consistent lane. As you can see, it kind of shakes around a little bit, but that's nice and snug in there for that piece. And then finally, really the off contact piece that will help to line up or raise your screen when it is pressed is this little piece that is just using some lag nuts, or no, insert nuts, my bad, and then some cabinet stuff. These are all in like the cabinetry section. They just screw into one another and create a little raised portion that the screen will then rest on when it is down, so it doesn't necessarily have to lay flush as when you have a t-shirt board on there. It will also kind of be raised a bit, but that pretty much covers all the hardware. And you know, when building this, it's just take it slow. I mean, you do have to do some pilot holes for these blocks if you want to attach them with screws. I attached it with a glue initially and it fell off, just as a little forewarning, and I did do pilot holes for these two as well. So for the specs on the sizing of each of these boards, these two boards right here are both 4 inches. I would suggest going down to 3, as it doesn't give you too much room to clamp your screen down. I'm not bolting it like the initial design was set, but I just use clamps. I mean, it works that it does have some room, but I would go down as far as 3 because the 14-inch board along the bottom is just a little bit too short in my opinion. You could even go bigger on that and keep these 4 inches, as well as these two boards, the cross beam up there and the cross beam here, are both 14 inches, so it creates an eye in a 14-inch board. And then with this piece right here is your long arm. That's about 45 inches. Make sure it fits your screen. It gives my screen about 4 or 5 inches of leeway in case I go bigger eventually, so make sure you make that appropriate to your design. And then this piece right here is 9 inches long. It's only a 1x4. Everything else is pretty much a 2x4 on this design. It is just to make it attached to this hinge, so that gives it a little bit of raise, and then this supports the amount of raise. Attach this to the bottom of this 2x4, which is about 10 inches. Again, make sure this works for you. And then these two angled pieces are probably the trickiest to figure out. I cut this one at a 45-degree angle. I'm pretty sure the top is 5 inches and the bottom is 4, and then I just drew an angle straight through those two. And then setting it up, I kind of just figured out where it landed. As you can see, it's not quite perfect, but it catches and it's nice and snug. And then this one is a 5-inch base, and then I think 2 inches of a 2x4 high, and just cut there just to give it nice backing. Yeah, and then these plates I think are like 5 inches wide, just to keep it snug. Just make sure it doesn't get in way with this and the hinge. It's cutting close over here, but I made sure to make that out. And then lastly, these two blocks were angled in the initial design, but I just cut them straight to be able to drill right into them properly. So these are only about 1.5 inches, and then that's where I cut it, I'm pretty sure. So they're about 1.5 inches, and I didn't think they needed to be much bigger than that, because it held my screen properly. And then this little aluminum flashing's only about like 1 foot long, and that just gives a little bit extra support. It's pretty durable, believe it or not, once you get the turnbuckles or C-clamps on there. And yeah, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, as well as I'll be making a tutorial on how to make a t-shirt board work with your screen printing press, and I'll put that link in the description.